Okay, so we have our buyer's financial information form. This form needs to go along with all the other documents in an offer. And what does this document say? It's pretty basic, but it's very important, and I'm going to show you why and why you have to be also careful with this. It's pretty straightforward: buyer's address, name, and then there's a question: will the buyer occupy the premises? Have you in the last 7 years declared bankruptcy? Aside from mortgage financing, is any part of the purchase price or settlement cost being obtained from a source other than those shown below? And we're going to go into details. If yes, state the source of the funds. Do you need to sell any other real estate in order to purchase the property? Have you, at any time or since January 1st, 1998, been obligated to pay support under an order that is on record in a Pennsylvania county? Are there any arrearages for alimony or child spousal support due? Are you currently going through a divorce or separation from your spouse? And then you have other questions there. Be careful in how you fill this form out, because when you have a problem with your transaction and the listing agent is trying to keep your money, your client's money, they will go back to this form and see if your client lied. Because even if you provide a mortgage denial letter, and let's say the mortgage denial letter says that your client didn't have sufficient assets or money to close, but here you put that your client has enough, they're going to say, well, your client lied to us. Because on our BFI, you put that your client had $50,000. Let's go back to the previous scenario. You do the buyer estimated closing costs, and now you know that your client needs $28,000 to buy this house on Montrose. And you put here the name of the bank, and then you put $30,000. And then the loan gets rejected because your client didn't really have $30,000. Your client only had $20,000, but he was getting a $10,000 gift from their mother or from their sister. If you put here that your client had $30,000, but the mortgage denial letter says that your client didn't have enough assets to close, and that listing agent is sharp, and he can go back and look at this, he can say, well, your client lied to us. He lied on the BFI, so we're not going to give him his money back. And then it becomes a little complicated. So be careful with that. Also, the same thing for liabilities. Let's say your client owns a car and has 3 credit cards and a student loan. If you don't put here the monthly and the balance, and you just leave it blank, you could potentially put your client in jeopardy, your client's deposit. What I have done in the past, I put C lender. I type it in because, remember, the lender already pre-approved that client. So the lender technically already knows your client's debts and balances of the debts. So it's not that I'm lazy, but I don't want to put something there that will make me at a disadvantage, okay? Then if your client owns any real estate, you're supposed to put it here. Then employment, this you have to be it has to be as complete as possible. Make sure you know your client's employment status and fill it in as much as you can, and here as well. Okay, make sure it matches with their actual income. You don't want to lie on this, because I'm going to read this clause here. Buyer affirms that the above information is true and correct. Buyer understands that the information may be used as a basis for the acceptance or rejection of an offer by the seller. Buyer acknowledges that failure to provide truthful and correct information may result in the forfeiture of any deposits made by the buyer and may be subject buyers to other financial loss or penalties. Okay? So it's exactly what I just told you. Buyers expressly authorizes broker to provide the information contained in this form and any reports or information obtained by broker for the purposes stated above to the seller and cooperating broker involved in this transaction or any related transaction. Buyer understands that broker has no control over the use of information after it is disclosed to a third party. Buyer agrees to release and hold broker harmless from any and all liability for any misuse or subsequent disclosure by any third party of the information or reports disclosed by broker pursuant to the terms of this authorization. So, two basic things. It states that you, Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Buyer, if you lie, this could come back and bite you in the back. And also, we are authorized to distribute this form, but if somebody misuses it, it's not up to us, it's not our fault.